we want to talk about how we can use social media as kind of as a way to glorify God and edify others, and to be, as was explained in the outline, a lifeline to God, a lifeline to be able to, and some things may overlap with what Keith just talked about, help others to connect with God, but also help us to connect with others and encourage them in their faithfulness. A 2012 survey said that 95% of American teenagers have some type of social media. Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Pinterest, Instagram, Vine, Snapchat. And they use it to exchange information and to share things with their friends and keep up with what's going on in their world. 62% of teens share their social media username as one of the first pieces of information that they share as a way of staying in touch when they meet a new friend. Now, how many people have some type of social media account in here? Raise your hand. Okay, so you pretty well reflect the averages I'm looking at. How many have a Facebook account? How many have a Twitter account? How many have Vine? I figured that would drop off. How many have a Snapchat? How many hope Dad never gets a Snapchat? Okay. How many people have Google+? How many people used to have a Google+? Okay. How many people have Instagram? Okay. So there's a lot that are shared. In fact, when a couple of years ago I did this at Anderson where Aaron preaches, and I asked the group at that time, I said, what would your parents say is the most popular social media network that you use? And they all answered Facebook. And I said, and now what is really the most popular one you use? And it was Instagram. So a lot of times parents don't even really know what's going on. How many people cannot have a Snapchat account? Okay, I see a few hands on that. And that was the way with us for a while. How many of your parents put some type of limitation, age or otherwise, before you could have a social media account? Okay, so at some point in your life you had, and you, like I said, you may still have restrictions on some. Yeah, you can have Facebook, you can have this, but you can't have that. One of the thing that really showed how the seismic shift of social media in our culture was when this old lady that I had known when I was growing up, her picture comes up on my, friend request, and I'm thinking, I didn't even know she had a computer, much less Wi-Fi, because I know my mom doesn't, and she's like, oh, I'm going to die without a social media account, which is probably an okay thing, because we had this older lady at church that she's gotten an account, and love her to death. She is a wonderful person, very supportive person, but I was Wednesday night, one of her adult kids who's older than me was going, Mom, now look, you can't be posting some of this stuff on here. She has some strong political views, and she has some strong political views against a certain candidate. And some of those things that might have foul language in who originally did it or other things, and she said, well, anyway, they're working it out. But that's the kind of change. I guess we probably do this. How many people don't use Facebook as much now because your parents use it? I know some of you have parents here, so if you don't raise your hand, we're good. So sometimes your parents' use of social media change yours. One of our criteria was that my wife or I had to have an account, and they had to have us on the friends thing because we wanted to see this post. Now, I did give a handout, and I'm not going to go over this, but you can, it's in the back of your notes. And I discussed with a lot of young people, I was like, what are the things that you want your parents and grandparents to know about social media that you don't feel comfortable telling them? I will tell them for you. And I put together this. It's on godlyyouth.com, so if you need to make like 20 copies and distribute to aunts and uncles and everything else, there's a nice PDF you can do. But it's things about, don't brag too much about them. When your parents like every picture that you post, you're like, come on. And, they said, oh, I'm so proud of you. You're doing so good on that. And while that is good sometimes, not on every single accomplishment that you made. I'm glad you caught this Pokemon, apparently this rare Pokemon. But, grandmother, I know you don't even get it. I know you're not out capturing Pokemons. Grandpa may be, but you're not. And so, there's some dynamic there that we need to have that discussion, and this helps have the discussion. Like, don't complain about the child's discipline problems in public forums. There's been several times I've had to private message a parent and go, you might want to pull that post down. Where you're going, I just can't believe, that Henderson, does such and such, like your dad would. I can't believe that Henderson just, did this. I was like, well, don't do that to your kid. The group that was in there, maybe some degree you, but particularly them, if Facebook and Instagram become 100-year-old companies like Coca-Cola and stuff, that will probably be the first generation, and for some of you, you might fall in this as well, maybe the first generation that will have your entire life documented online. Between your parents finding out that you're coming into the world and posting sonogram pictures and various things, and posting things about your potty training and you got a cookie because you went in the potty and all type of things like that, to the point where you got an account and then you started chronicling your life. You're just posting stuff, but you're chronicling your life. And maybe even to the point where your kids or grandkids say, hey, we lost mom or dad today. Need your prayers on her. You may have your whole life documented online. And so it's changing a lot of our culture. And so I give that to you really to give to your parents, grandparents, aunts and uncles. You can say, they can come argue with me about it. But yours, I just found this. Here, do something with it. But it is certainly a part of our life, and it is a part of our life that we can use for good things. Now, what are some of the things, everybody had your hand up, so I'm expecting some responses on this. What are some of the things you use social media for? Give me examples. Throw something out. Showing where you went. What else? Following interests. Okay, events that go on in your life, or events that you deem shareable. What else? Okay, communicate with people that maybe they've moved away, maybe you've moved away, or you have these common interests and you've never been in the same place. What else? Okay, the things that you've heard, things that you've studied, scriptures, verse of the day. I always like somebody told me about, you always do these verse of the days. I was like, I've got a whole book of them. What else? Oh, come on. Come on. Let's get real. Selfies, thank you. I appreciate the honesty. I mean, selfie sticks aren't a popular thing, for nothing. What else? Come on.
News.
Huh?
News.
Okay. I captured this Pokemon. It was funny. A friend of mine, I don't do the Pokemon. I guess some of my family does. I will not divulge who they are at this point. But a friend of mine preaches Gardendale Church, Andrew Smith. A lot of you know him. And I was talking to him this past week, and he said that Gardendale Church of Christ is a Pokestop and a gym. So he'd be in his study looking out his window, and he'd see all these people crowding around. But when he comes out, they all scatter. I was like, oh, no. I would have speakers mounted up there, and I would be looping sermons. So it's like, you're going to be doing Pokemon, you're going to be listening to some truth while we're at it. And I'm serious about that. I would do that. If this is a place, put some speakers out there. Just start doing the sermons. They're going to be here. And so you think about some of the things that we use social media for. As you mentioned, sometimes there's funny things that happen in our lives. So you're making fun of somebody. Keith and I always go back and forth one another on things. Or a relationship thing with your parents or your grandparents. I went over to Grandpa's house today and just listened to him tell stories about when he was young and being able to share family relationship stuff. Sometimes events like graduations and birthdays. Even tragic events like deaths. It's a way of being able to get together sometimes when you physically cannot do it. Being able to share news, whether it's news on a global scale or maybe it's news among your friends. Somebody got married or different things. And if, of course, we're being really honest, we share a lot of cat things. Western culture and social media and Egyptian pyramids. There's something about cats, I don't know, that just seemed to prevail. I was reading some stuff this week on some artificial intelligence and artificial stuff, and it analyzed a bunch of videos, and it knew things about people and facial things. It knew something about various activities, and it knew about cats. And I am not even exaggerating. That was like within the top 5 of things in this group of videos. And so we share all kind of things that are fun and serious. And so social media itself is not good or evil. It's all in how it is used. It is a tool. We can use it for good, or we can use it for things that are wrong. For example, Megan Meyer connected with a teenage boy over MySpace. And she was crushed when he dumped her, saying the world would be better off without her. And at 13, Megan killed herself over a boy she had never met. A boy who was not even real. This boy's MySpace profile was created as a hoax by 3 people: a teenage friend of hers, that friend's mother, and a work acquaintance of that mother. She killed herself over this fake relationship. But it can be used for something very positive. I was glad to see Aaron is here, and I told him I was going to use this. A couple of years ago, Aaron, who at that time was preaching over at Andersonville, has a daughter because of her needs, particularly with a wheelchair, needs a special van for their family to travel. And so he went and looked at a van and got an idea of the cost, and was like, okay, well, we'll try to work on saving the money and get the money to get that, because it was a real need in the family. Well, their friend Mark White, great guy, some of you may know him, used social media to start reaching out to people and saying, hey, there's this need. There's this good guy, this good family, trying to do what's right, serving the Lord, and they have this real, very expensive need, and can you help? And people started sharing things with other people. I think we even did ice bucket challenge type things on that, because I remember getting cold water dumped on me. And so different types of ways to interact. And I was going through, and I thought it had been about $40,000. And so I called Aaron coming in. And within a couple of months, they were able to raise the money to buy the van. And he told me, he said, actually, it was about $45,000, and they had to turn back $10,000. Now, how are you going to raise $55,000 for anything in 2 months? If I put a gun to your head and made you do it, you're going to be hard-pressed. But what happened? They shared the story on that. And even some news media had gotten involved and kind of caught on this story as it was taken off. And a lot of people they didn't even know were giving money because people they knew and that loved them said, look, this is a good guy. This is a good family. He's doing work. This is a good need. And it might be that they don't know Aaron, but they know Rhodes. And they think something about, well, if Rhodes says he's a good guy and he's doing a lot of work for the Lord, I want to help that. And so social media can be used for some very good things. And so when we use social media, we've got to find ways to use it in positive ways and not negative ways. I think about when God called Moses and is sending him to the people. At one point, God's like, well, maybe Moses is having some doubts as to how people are going to react. And he goes, what's in your hand? And he says, a staff. He's holding a staff. He says, throw it down. He throws it down. Anybody remember what it turned into? It turned into a snake. And then he picked it back up, and it became a staff again. And he took that staff throughout the wilderness wanderings, over the Red Sea, striking rocks to bring water. And he used that staff throughout his life to glorify God. And so we've got something in our hands. We've got the social media that we can use to glorify God. Did he ever use that staff in a way that did not glorify God? Yes. In fact, striking the rock twice when he was supposed to speak to it to bring forth water, and he, as a result, was not able to enter into the promised land. So what's in your hand? What are you going to use it for? We can use it to encourage others who are trying to serve God. We can reach out to people who have no relationship with Him, but who are seeking. And because of the connecting nature of these tools, we can use it to help people connect with God. And that's not overstating it. As Keith just described, I caught the end of what he said, and he and I had been talking about that this week, and he told me this morning about Kyle being baptized. There are people who are seeking. There are people who are truly lost, and they realize it. And this gives you an opportunity to shine some light that says, hey, look, I'm a person you could talk to about this. And I would love to have that opportunity to talk with you about that. But if we're not careful about it, the way we use social media could discourage people from serving God and might lead others into sin. Think about some of the pictures that post that could incite lust. Think about some of the words that can stir up anger, or the lies that can perpetuate lies. And so there are ways you can discourage people from serving God in what you post. In that session that I did over at Anderson, I came up with about 5 ways, 5 major categories. I felt like ways that we could glorify God. And looking back and preparing, I've got some different things to bring out, but I still think those 5 key areas are ones that are useful to us, whether it is teaching others, being a peacemaker, watching, just projecting a good, positive influence, edifying others, and inviting others for various teaching opportunities. Hold on, I just got to check something with my time. Okay. The first thing we have to remember is to be a good example online. This is really what lays the foundation for so much of what we do. That the things that come out in social media are the things that are in our hearts. And so if people are disturbed by the things that we're posting, is that reminder that this, what's coming out is what's in our heart. It's what's in our lives. And so the things that we need to do need to reflect that. My mom has a favorite verse, and she used this with me when I was growing up. And it was Philippians 4 and verse 8. Whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, to what Brother Hall was talking about, being an example of purity, whatever is lovely, whatever is something that can be commended, if there's any excellence about this, if there's anything worthy of praise, think about these things. And she taught me that this is your filter for when you choose movies and you read the description of what that movie's about, and you run it through this filter, should you watch that? The music that you listen to, every part of your life, run it through this filter, and if it comes out at the bottom, then okay, enjoy that. But this is going to filter a lot of things out. And so there are social media posts that we put that reflect our interests, our beliefs, the principles that we have, the things that we love. Every once in a while, our meals, I know, but it reflects all these things that are a part of our life, and the things that we like, or the things that we click on for the heart or the thumbs up or whatever, depending on the mode that you're using. I think you need to ask yourself, is it true, honorable, just, pure, lovely, or commendable? It might be true, especially in this political climate, you got all kind of things. It might be true, but it might not be honorable. And it might not be lovely or commendable. And so if it doesn't pass all those things, probably not worth sharing or liking. Go to Ephesians chapter 5. Ephesians chapter 5. Ephesians 5 and verses 3 through 5. I'd like somebody to read that. Who wants to read that for me? All right, Thomas.
5:55.
Yes.
For fornication and all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not be even named among you, as is fitting for the saints. Neither filthiness, nor fool talking, nor coarse jesting, which are not fitting, but rather giving thanks. For this you know, that no fornicator, unclean person, nor covetous man, who is an idolater, has any inheritance in the kingdom of Christ and God.
Okay, so he gets to one very serious part. This does not have any part in the kingdom of Christ. But notice, he also says in verse 4, these things are out of place. These things are out of place. It just doesn't fit. It doesn't belong. And so, maybe your parents are wanting to redecorate the house, and you walk into the living room and you find this giant fountain in the middle of the living room between the couch and the TV. And you think, shouldn't this be in the yard? Are you going to have birds coming in the house? This is out of place. This does not belong here. Foul language does not belong in the life of the Christian. Sexual immorality does not belong in the life of the Christian, whether in our practice, the things that we enjoy as entertainment or partake of as entertainment, and it's just out of place. It doesn't belong. It doesn't fit in the Christian's life. And so in our pictures, are we dressed modestly? Is there an overemphasis on our body and our beauty instead of what's inside? Oh, and I'm not saying that, make yourself look ugly, but be more than how you appear. And expect others to appreciate who you are instead of what you've got from DNA. And don't advertise yourself in a way that says, look at me, who I'm with, where I'm at, and what I have. Those things don't matter. All that matters is who we are in our relationship to God and glorifying Him. And I think about, you think about the brilliance and the beauty of the sun. It's incredible in size. It generates incredible amounts of light, only a part of which ever reaches Earth. The rest of it's going out through the rest of the universe. And we have the Earth here. And then we have the moon. And God's light is like the light of the sun. We can only even see just a part of it and appreciate just a part of it, of its vast beauty and majesty. And yet we, like the moon, reflect that light. We don't generate light, but we reflect that light. And we reflect that light to the earth. Just as on a night with a full moon, you could go around without a flashlight because you can use the light reflected from the full moon to see. We can reflect the glory of God, a little bit, dimmer than the glory of the sun, but they can see the glory of God's light there. But in our own world, we have two types of eclipse that come up. And one of them is where the world will get between the sun and the moon. And even though the sun is immense in size and can hold so many earths within its mass, it's positioned in such a way that if the moon, which is smaller, has too much of the world blocking Jesus, we don't reflect that light. And if we've got too much of the world in our lives, it's about who we're with, what we've got, where we live, where we go to school, who our teams are. And it's all about the things in this world, and that's where our life is focused. Our light is going to go dim and can be completely eclipsed. And all people see in our social media is things that are worldly, things that have really little to do with God. And so we can get so wrapped up in things of the world that we're not reflecting it. And then the other eclipse is the moon is even small in comparison to the mass of the earth. And while the moon cannot keep the sun, the light from the sun to go all over the earth, it can locally prevent light from reaching the earth. And it might be that I can position myself between God and my friends, where I can look at me, see about me, enjoy me, look at my beauty, look at what's important to me. And we keep people from seeing the light of God in our lives because we get in the way. And so we've got to be careful in how we present ourselves, because we have opportunities through this to edify others. I love this picture. I just fell in love with it. I'm sorry. But it was just, I love it. What does edify mean? What does edify mean? Oh, come on. Yeah. Do what? Build up. Thank you. I was about to say 7th through 10th grade, had a few of them had it. So, all right. So it means to build up. It means to encourage, help somebody to build up to be what they ought to be. And so when we look at our posts, are we building up? Does gossiping and insulting build up, or does it tear down? It's not a trick question. Build up or tear down? Tears down. And so if we're gossiping about others, if we're talking about others, it may be true, but it's certainly not praiseworthy or commendable or something that we should talk about. We end up tearing people down. But there are times when you know somebody's going through a difficult time where you can offer words of comfort. There are no magic words that you can say that will all of a sudden dispel grief or make people feel better in a bad situation. You know, they're going through something terrible and you just say this phrase and they're like, oh, everything's better. The sun, I can hear the birds, everything is great. But that's not what's expected of us. Sometimes it's like, you're going through a difficult thing, David, and I can't really do anything about it, but I care about you. I'm going to be praying for you. And don't let that be a lie, by the way. If you tell somebody you're going to pray for them, pray for them. Sometimes it's just letting them know you're not alone in this. In the mass of things that are going through my social media, I've seen this. I know what's going on in your life. You may even note it down so that you can continue to reach out with them. Let them know that you care. Let them know that you're listening. Sometimes social media is a lifeline to the suffering. You may have somebody who has cancer or some type of disease where socially they have to be isolated from school or other situations. And that may be the only way that they're able to continually reach out to people and get encouragement and stay in touch with their friends. And you have that opportunity to build them up. Sometimes maybe you can help your parents serve by saying, I've got this friend who's going through this. Mom, could you help me put together some food? Not like, Mom, here's your order. I need you to whip up some spaghetti and some bread and some things like that. I'm going to go talk to Dad, see if he can drive this stuff over to them. No. Have an opportunity to maybe get your parents involved. Say, can we do something for them and be able to serve as a family to the glory of God. Give you an opportunity to invite people to teaching opportunities. I won't do a whole lot of this because I know Keith was really focusing on this, but you can use things like that. We're having a great teen study on such and such, and it's open to everybody. Here it is. Love to see you there. I'll be there. I'd love to see you there. But maybe even on a minor scale. Anybody have classes that are just people your age where you worship? Am I the only person? Okay. Andrew's got one. You don't have high school class, college class, teen class? Okay. How many people's arms are still working? Raise your hand. These people's arms. Okay, I got some arms working. Good. We're having this great class just for teenagers every Sunday morning. We've been studying about how Proverbs really speaks to the things that are going on in our lives. We just talked about Proverbs that were relating to the wisdom in handling our anger. Next week, we're going to talk about the wisdom of what the Bible says about alcohol. I hope you can be there. It's open to everybody. You know, sometimes we just wait for the big things. Maybe just talk about the things that you're studying in your Bible classes. You may have people who are interested. And I think, especially as Keith was talking, don't be surprised at how many people may be interested in things that you think that they're not. There are a lot of people who are seeking. There are a lot of people who realize they're lost. And just letting them know that I am a person who cares about this. This is important to me. I am a person you can come to and talk to about this. And it may actually go into full teaching opportunities online because of distance or other things. But you can share articles, like I mentioned, the Godly Youth There may be other articles that you read, and maybe you can comment on what the Bible says about that if it's not really a spiritual article. But if the church has bulleted articles that they post online, share those things. And again, you may strike a chord with somebody that you don't even know is wrestling with a particular matter. Or share a sermon, audio and video that where you're attending may post. Things that you read. Maybe a verse and something that's why that's helping you today. If you're sharing lyrics from all kind of worldly bands, why not also share some lyrics from hymns that are encouraging and present the truth in a way that might resonate with others. And also taking the opportunity when somebody says something wrong to maybe turn that into a teaching opportunity. Go with me to 2 Timothy chapter 2. 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 23 through 26. And who wants to read that for me? 2 Timothy 2, 23 through 26. Okay.
Have nothing to do with foolish, ignorant controversies. You know that they breed quarrels. And the Lord's servant must not be quarrelsome, but kind to everyone, able to teach, patiently enduring evil, correcting his opponents with gentleness. God may perhaps grant them repentance, leading to a knowledge of the truth, and they may come to their senses and escape from the snare of the devil after being captured by him to do his will.
Okay, this is an important memory verse for young and old alike, is that there are times when differences of understanding, differences of opinion, or someone who's just taking the scriptures and twisting it is going to be taught. And here is instruction on how to address that. First, there's going to be some foolish and ignorant controversies that you don't need to get in the middle of. There's some fights that you just need to walk away from. But there are some times where, and probably more times, that you need to engage. But to do it not in a quarrelsome manner, being kind, being patient, and opposing with gentleness. And that's not really a lot of times the way we may operate, because it's something close to our heart. We know it's the truth. We know that they're twisting it. But even though people may not have the right reasons for why they're doing what they're doing, they have reasons for what they're doing. It may be built on a faulty foundation and may not understand it, but they could probably explain it in a clear way, and you might be able to say, well, if I knew that and that was how I had been taught, I might understand that. And so you help them to get better reasons and come up with better conclusions. But that's going to take time. Few people are just really unreasonable, but they may have very faulty reasoning. And so try to understand that and try to come to them in that spirit of gentleness. When someone says they don't understand something about in the Bible, or they don't understand something in society, use that as an opportunity to reach out. Maybe address it and maybe offer an opportunity to study some more about it. Don't pass on those opportunities because you're young. Don't pass on those opportunities because, oh, that's a preacher's work or anything. They're your friends. They have an opportunity, and there is an opportunity there to engage with them. Part of that relationship reflected in that attitude also is we have opportunities to be a peacemaker. Jesus said in Matthew 5 and verse 9 in the Sermon on the Mount, blessed are the peacemakers. Social media gives us opportunity to cause problems with others or to be at peace with others. If our focus is on the salvation of souls, we're not going to have an attitude of bullying. We're not going to try to turn a bunch of people against somebody else. We're going to want to try to not only help people be at peace with one another, but to be at peace with God. James warns us to be quick to hear, but slow to what? Slow to speak, slow to anger. And so part of being peacemaker is how we deal with things that we don't agree with, things that we see that may rile us initially, but we got to go, okay, I got to think about this. I've got to look at this before I react. I often tell my kids, and I'm not going to ask them to recite, but I often ought to. I really ought to, Henderson. Is tell them, you can't control a lot of what happens in your life, but you can always control how you will react to it. You can always, somebody could be angry with you, somebody could be agitating you. You have the opportunity not to respond in kind. You have the opportunity to choose how you're going to react. I'm not a big fan of Dr. Phil. I don't watch Dr. Phil, although it's kind of funny with the "you got to get your life right," kind of stuff. But he said something one time that just really stood out with me. I don't know if I read it or what. But he said, never pass up a perfectly good opportunity to shut up. Never pass up a perfectly good opportunity to not say anything. Some of the best things I've ever done on social media were things that I typed into the Twitter box or the Facebook, "How you feeling today?" Or "What are you thinking about?" box, and then deleted it. That it didn't pass the filter. It would not help situation. I typed it in, I got my thoughts out, and it's like, yeah, that's bad. You will probably regret more things that you post than things that you didn't post. Look for opportunities to be at peace with others and help foster peace with others. You can disagree with people, but you don't have to be disagreeable. There may be times where you need to speak stronger, and there are times when you have to be more gentle. And as you get wisdom in how to handle those situations. But be careful of your choice of words. Be careful of the tone of what you post. So that even if you're speaking something honorable, it may be taken as dishonorable because of the way that you said it. Now, 1 Peter chapter 2. 1 Peter chapter 2, if you're going to do these things that I'm talking about, there is going to be, actually, let's go to 1 Peter chapter 4. There's going to be some things in how people react that you just need to be prepared for. In verse 12 of 1 Peter chapter 4, "Beloved, do not be surprised at the fiery trial when it comes upon you to test you as though something strange were happening to you. But rejoice insofar as you share in Christ's sufferings, that you may rejoice and be glad when His glory is revealed. If you are insulted for the name of Christ, you are blessed, because the Spirit of glory and God rests on you. But let none of you suffer as a murderer or a thief or as evildoer or as a meddler. But if anyone suffers as a Christian, let him not be ashamed, but let him glorify God in this matter." There are going to be times when you stand for the truth that you're going to be reviled, that you're going to be insulted, that you're going to be belittled. I can't believe somebody would be so stupid as to believe that the Bible is true, or believe in the invisible spaghetti monster. If that happens, realize that you are in good company. You're in the company of our Savior, the company of the prophets, the company of the apostles who were belittled, who were insulted because they stood for what was right. You can do it in a way that honors God and glorifies God, that reflects the attitude that was there before. And some people are still going to have a bad attitude. But that's their problem. That's not yours. We have the responsibility to teach the truth. Proverbs 21 verse 23 says, "Whoever keeps his mouth and his tongue keeps himself out of trouble." There again, probably fewer things that you'll regret that you didn't post. Proverbs 17 verse 27, "Whoever restrains his word has knowledge, and he who has a cool spirit is a man of understanding." Wisdom says a lot. Proverbs says a lot about the wisdom of not saying everything that's on your mind, of keeping your words few. And the last thing I want to say, 1 Corinthians 6 and verse 12, Paul talks about not being under the power of any, is don't let it rule your lives. Don't let it take time from the things that can truly enhance your life. There's times when you just need to set it aside, spend time writing, spend time studying, spend time praying, spend time with friends. times when you need to just lock it in a drawer, times that you just need to leave it in your room and be with the people that you're with. And spend time on other things. A lot of times we'll just let the notification rule our life. And we can't do that. Make sure that it has a proper place in your life. I've kind of limited a lot of I used to have everything I talked about except for the Snapchat. And I've really reduced a lot. I'm probably going to get back on Facebook in a limited capacity, family. My kids and I still have a treaty that I will not get on Snapchat yet. I haven't broached that treaty yet. Business-wise, I'm on LinkedIn. I do have a YouTube channel. It is sometimes considered social media. Godly Youth have some things on there, and Twitter as well. So if you do want to connect. But again, I hope these things are useful to you. I'll turn it back over to Greg.
Thank you.